Utilizing video communication as part of its meetings. By participating in this meeting, you agree that your image and or voice may be recorded and retained as part of the meeting. Would you please take the roll?
Supervisor Ledke.
Here.
Supervisor Milliburn.
Here.
Supervisor Parker.
Here.
Supervisor Olson.
Here.
Supervisor Searing.
First order of business is going to be the approval of the consent agenda. Anybody see any changes that they want taken in or put in, taken out?
I would like to have the electric pole removed from the consent agenda.
Okay. We'll pull that out and we're going to set that. We're going to put that right away. We're going to put that at 2A.
Okay.
We'll hit it right away. Just get it out of the way.
I was gonna add the project overall so we can tie it all, but I see it's also the well is on there.
I think everything's on there. So,
Well, it doesn't have the project
okay.
unless we,
Well, right now it's just the consent agenda. So let's just get the consent agenda done first, and then we have to do the agenda afterwards.
But I think,
but you were moving it to 2A, so I just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure that we,
Oh, well, that'll be in there
Should
when we
that-
get there.
yep. So
should that go
just
down?
remove, yeah, just remove it, vote on it. And then we set the agenda
And then we'll set the agenda afterwards.
according to this.
Okay, so we've taken the electric pole removal quote off of the consent agenda. Is there anything else we need to take out or put in? I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda with the revision.
So moved.
There's a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now approval of the agenda. So where would you like to put the electric pole then?
Just like we had the project as an overall. Everything all encompassing. So I know we got a couple aspects of it with 8 and 9. So we can throw it.
Okay, let's move it on. Let's move it all the way down. We'll put it down at 9A. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Okay, that's gonna become 9A. Electric poles will be 9A.
I know 8 is the document in the packet, but for just making sure for formalities, that can be everything and all. Or is that a topic we have to hold and then we have to talk? I know it goes back and forth every time we talk about this project.
I'm not sure I understand your question. The electric pole to me is part of the scope clarification, the reuse building itself. The well update, we've always treated that as something separate from the reuse building. They've been two different topics, even in our joint powers meeting. We weren't allowed to talk about the well in the joint powers meeting because it was out of scope from the reuse building.
All right.
If that
Okay,
answers your question.
So basically the light pole is something to do with the reuse building, right?
I want to talk about everything in that 60, in the 90 by 30 square.
Yes,
This is what I'm trying to get to, because exactly that. I don't want,
All right,
can't
fine.
talk about this, can't talk about that. It's
Fine.
everything
Then
and
the
all.
pole just became 8A. It's gonna go under reused building scope of clarification.
yeah, I'm good with that.
Everybody good with that now?
Yep.
The motion to accept the agenda as amended.
So moved.
There's a second?
Okay, go ahead, Bridget.
You made a motion. I'm looking for a second.
I know I was just gonna add one more thing.
I'll rescind my motion. Go ahead.
I wanted to add just agenda and packet discussion overall as an item.
Oh, what?
Agenda and packet items. Just the layout and the discussion around it as we,
That'd be 16.
Oop.
16.
We'll get a new business. Yeah, make it 16.
Oh.
I miss these at 2 a.m. A motion to
Yeah.
accept the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Your second?
second,
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. First thing on the agenda, we have Braden Welk talk about an Eagle Scout project. And there he is. Welcome, Braden. Right there, that microphone right there.
So my name is Braden Welk, as you said, and I'm here from the Linwood Boy Scout Troop 435. We're at the church, and I'm here because I'm working towards my Eagle rank, and I'm here to propose an Eagle Scout project to you guys. This Eagle Scout project entails 2 benches and 1 picnic table built from red cedar wood. I have drawn up a basic diagram for both the benches and the picnic table. I've also picked locations to place them in the Linwood School Forest. I think you guys have them
We do.
already. So the first location is for the benches, is for one of the benches, and it's right off of the Blue Trail. It's right off of the Blue Trail on the Yellow Trail. It's kind of in the middle between the Blue Trail. And I have pictures that show the view and also the ground where the bench will be placed. And I think it is a good location because it is in the middle of the Blue Trail and the light blue trail, making it a perfect middle point between those two. And then the second location is for the second bench. It is also on the Yellow Trail again, but it's on the other side of the trail. I think that this is a good location because it is a good middle point on the Yellow Trail. And I have a picture that shows it is a very good view. And then the last location that I have is for the picnic table. It is right next to the boardwalk and it is at the bottom of a hill. At the hill, I think that this spot is good because it is a trailhead for multiple trails and is a good place to sit with good views. I have the pictures that you guys have. So, I have a 4-wheeler and a trailer that I could use to get the benches and picnic tables out there. We would take the Blue Trail out there and then carry them from there for their exact locations. And then the estimated cost for the benches are $170 each. And the estimated cost for the picnic table is $396. The grand total estimate is around $756. And I will fundraise enough money for the cost of the 2 benches and the picnic table. Oh yeah, and I will also anchor the benches and the picnic table down. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to allow me to present my Eagle Scout project. Do you have any questions?
It's a good project.
Yeah, he came to the school forest. He did a wonderful presentation to the school forest and they loved the idea. So,
I think it's a good idea.
yeah, a great idea.
I think it's great. All those in favor of allowing him to continue with his Eagle Scout project? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
You make a motion.
I'll make a motion. Okay, I'll make a motion to allow him to continue with his Eagle Scout project for the school
Second.
forest.
Second.
Any discussion?
Oh, I think it's great. What's your time frame, Braden?
I will be putting them out around the end of April.
Very cool.
Him and I already talked that the ATV is fine, but he just asked, let the township know he's in there with an ATV. So,
No. Okay, any more discussion?
Yeah,
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, sir. You have yourself an Eagle Scout project.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah,
No.
thank you.
All right,
Make sure you come back when it's done. Show us more pictures. All right, thank you.
all right. Next on the agenda, we have the chief. We have the chief coming out for fire report.
Right. Thank you, Chairman Parker, Supervisor, staff. Tonight, we have Mark Sullivan that will be presenting the bids for the generator. Commissioner Reinhardt is running a little bit late. He should be here in about 15 or 20 minutes. So should we wait for the commissioner to get here, or do you want me to do my report first?
Let's do your report right now. He comes up after you, and if you drag it long enough, he'll probably show up.
Okay, I'll try to be very long-winded. So I can sing. That'd be ugly. So Fire Prevention Day at the school was October 7th. And the open house was October 10th. So thank you to all the firefighters that took time out of their days to do both events for the fire department and the community. Both were a huge success. So thank you for all and everybody from the community that attended. I believe there was how many hot dogs? A lot. So again, thank you. The fiscal 2023 Assistance to Firefighter Grant, that was the big grant that we were hoping to get extrication equipment. We were denied, but we are going to put in for the 2024. So hopefully by the time the truck gets here, we'll have that grant. The good news is we made it pretty well into the process, which is always a good thing. But with just limited funds, and then who knows what happens next year with FEMA. So we'll cross our fingers and hopefully get it. So burning restrictions are in effect. So no burning permits. We've been chasing some wildland fires lately. So again, right now, recreational fires are allowed, but that may change here in the next couple of weeks. So then we will communicate to the staff. The water softener has gotten worse. It's absolutely not working now. So is it okay? Okay. Is there any update on that? Because all this stuff is getting very.
Take this or, I mean, I got two bids, Craner Mechanical 2156 and True Service Plumbing 2495. I tried to get a third one, but he doesn't do installs. So I'd make a motion to go with Kramer for 2156 for a new, I mean, they're apples to apples. They're the same thing, same warranty, same install, same 4 bags of salt. So I'd make a motion to go with Kramer Mechanical 2156 for a new water softener for the fire station.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Then moved and seconded. Any more discussion?
So their quote says they're still waiting on sizing.
He's waiting on a water test. But he said that's gonna be the price, but he's waiting on the water test. So as soon as he called, I just got into town an hour and 10 minutes ago. He has not called me yet. As soon as he calls me, I will let him know, let's go. So,
And
Any
these
more
are-
discussion?
These are commercial units.
yeah. Well, they're $2,200. Yeah.
Cheaper than what I got in my house. Yeah. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. Continue, chief.
Thank you, board. The hiring committee, at the beginning of the year, we started with 6 applicants. Through the process, we interviewed 4. 3 of the applicants had to withdraw their applications until possibly next year. So tonight we do have 1 candidate that we'd like to give a conditional offer to, and that is Troy Miller. The next step would be the background, and then after that, we would do the medical if he passed the background. So tonight, we are looking, and the staff across the street, the hiring committee, recommends a motion to extend a conditional offer of employment to Troy Miller, pending the background and the physical.
Make a motion to allow the fire department to give a conditional offer to Troy Miller for firefighter.
Second.
Then moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have for now.
It didn't
Until,
drag on very long.
oh, well, I can sing. But
All right, well, we'll go on to the next one that we have here until the commissioner shows up, and then we'll go there.
great, thank you.
Okay, the next we have up there is we'll skip 5, we're gonna go to 6. Request to waive solar screening. You're right up there, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, board. I'm representing North Peak Solar. Specifically Sam Bowman put in the request, and Susan, you said you were talking to him. He unfortunately could not make it tonight, but he has educated me on the situation. So one of our clients, Ben Baker is his name. He lives on one of the highways here, and initially we got the job because The previous company that he worked with installed the system too close to the highway. I think it was only 22 feet away and it was supposed to be 75 feet away. So we're working with him to correct that. So it's kind of an unfortunate situation for him to begin with. But now we've come to find that he also has to plant vegetation in front of this solar array, which is going to be another cost out of his pocket. So if the board is willing to consider to waive this vegetation requirement for this job, just because it's an unfortunate situation to begin with, like I said. Let me know if there are any questions or if I didn't explain it.
Do we know what road you're talking about?
He's on Orinoco Circle.
Yes.
Yeah, it's down at page 71, because we skipped around.
This one where it was too close to the Orinoco and we had to move it back.
And I do have satellite pictures for anyone if they're.
Yeah, if you go down to. Yeah, if you go down to the zoning section, you'll find it's the first one there and about the third page in, it's got a picture of it there. So what angle does he have to have for the sun to hit these panels to make them operate?
About a 45-degree angle. The highest point of the array is 8 feet. And so the angle results in like a 2 feet on the downward slope side. Of the, 2 feet on the front side up and then 8 feet on the back side.
They're right there. That's them right there.
So yeah, on this diagram that we have, is the new site what's in the middle of the trees? That's where it's being proposed, or is that, because it looks like an array? I guess the question is the photo here showing the existing in the wrong spot? And then this is a new proposed?
If you have the same picture I do, can I hand it to you?
Yep, that's what we have.
Yeah, this is where it was, this is where it will, this is 75 feet away from
Okay, and then what's the other rectangles?
that.
That's the septic, so the
Correct.
setbacks for that, okay.
Is that screened from the road? I mean, it looks like it's back in the trees.
It is back in the trees. We did have to cut some of those trees out in order to ensure that the system wasn't shaded.
Okay, but
So most of those trees around it are still there. It's just if someone's driving like by, they can see it if they're like facing directly toward the system, then they can see it.
you're talking a very narrow space in here that they can see it.
Correct.
How wide is this very narrow space?
The array itself is about 35 feet wide. And so it's probably, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. Like, if they're driving by, they could see it for probably a 60-foot span, you know, seeing in. 'Cause
So the very narrow space is 60 feet wide.
correct. Maybe these aren't like hard set numbers. So if I have to get back to you on these in order to make a decision, or if you have enough.
So your group cleared every tree from this new section all the way to the road?
Correct.
And they're saying they don't want to put anything at that road right away edge because that'll interfere
System.
with the system.
Correct. It's two concerns. Number one, it's the cost, and number two, it is the shade factor. Maybe we could find some sort of vegetation that doesn't get more than, you know, certain height for the array, so it doesn't shade it after however many years it takes for them to mature.
So that's 75 feet off the road, correct?
Correct. Yes.
So if you put screening 40 feet off the road, leaves are 35 feet to the array.
45-degree angle. I want to hear this. I want to hear this geometry.
Well,
I love where you're going. I just want to hear
you
it.
know where I'm going. with
I know
this.
where you're going.
So I'm just trying to get my angle to the dangle here, right here, so. So 8 feet top of the array,
Yes.
Put screening back out there. So basically, the screening could be up to, say, 6 feet tall at 45 feet back, and that would not block the array.
At 40 feet back from the road?
About 40 to 45 feet back from the road, if you put screening that far, just that far back, and it went to 6 feet, trying to get my angle, you shouldn't be able to see the array, and the array shouldn't have a problem with sun. Am I about right?
I hear what you're saying. Okay.
Okay, you see where I'm going with this? So that's,
You're way above, right, because if you're 45 feet this way, a 45-degree angle is
It-
45 degrees
okay,
this
that's what
way.
I'm saying, but I'm saying is all he has to do is go 6 feet to shoot.
Yeah.
There's
Be
plenty
just
of,
fine.
there's plenty of things out there that can go out
I
there.
agree.
mean, it can be lilacs, it can be anything else that could be planted in there that would give the screening for that. That's just my thought. I'm just saying.
You're right on.
We had another person in here that we forced to put trees around their array. And it wasn't even visible from the road.
Yeah.
That's where I'm having a problem right now. Cause we forced this person to screen their neighbor's woods. Because somebody may, for some reason, build a house back there and be able to see it. So I'm just trying to think of, I mean, to say don't put anything back there, whereas if you put it 40 feet off the road, that'd give you plenty of room, 35 feet back there to that array that it wouldn't bother it at 6 feet. And a 45 coming off of that, I guess I'd have a hard time saying, agreeing to this and saying, no, we're not gonna make them screen this because we've essentially forced other people.
A lot of them.
You know, I mean, I didn't, personally, I didn't have a problem where it was sitting in the beginning, so, but it was against our zoning. So I don't know anybody else's opinion?
Susan, is there anything in the ordinance for the height of this, of the screen? Is there a minimum screen height, or is it just the height of the thing they're trying to hide?
Looking at the code a little bit, I think they are expecting that upon planting, it
feet,
should be at
minimum
least 6
12
feet
feet.
tall.
Yeah.
And then on, when it reaches maturity, it should be at least 12 feet tall.
Correct.
That's right.
Which shouldn't interfere with it.
Shouldn't interfere. Well, it shouldn't at all.
Again, the next concern would be how many trees do we need to actually shade that whole area, or not to shade, but to cover that whole area so people can't see back there? And if they're expecting trees or some sort of vegetation that's at least 6 feet tall, that's a fair cost for the homeowner to have something wide enough. You mentioned lilacs. I don't know if lilacs would work because according to code, it has to be year-round vegetation, as in like evergreens, I think was namely mentioned. So we'd number one have to find an evergreen that wouldn't go past, say, 12 feet tall, or else it would eventually shade that array. And then number two, we have to buy enough of them, and that's where the cost comes in. We have to buy enough width of trees that are 6 feet tall already. That array. And I know you have to make your decision, so if you decide against me, I understand that.
So who does the screen have to be for? In other words, I mean, right,
Supposedly according to our zoning, it's so that the public can't see it when they're going by. They could be
Okay.
walking, they could be driving, they could be riding a bike, wouldn't make any difference. It has, according to the zoning and our ordinance, it's supposed to be screened.
but last year there was somebody on Sunset Road, I think it was, that had to replant trees, or we talked about anyhow, replanting trees so that the neighbor couldn't see the array.
From out in their woods.
Right, so then I go back to who are we forcing the resident to screen the array from? Like in this case, we're talking about from the road. Well, in Sunset, we were talking about a neighbor. And so I don't know, I haven't read that ordinance since last year when we talked about this, so I don't remember if there was any definition in it, but
It spells out both. Cause it says adjacent residential properties and right of way.
so then since they have a neighbor on both sides and a road in front of them, are we saying that they have to plant a screen on 3 sides of the array?
No, 'cause it's already treed on 2 sides, or on 3 sides, it's already treed. The one spot that it's visible is from the road.
Wasn't that the case on Sunset?
No, on the Sunset, it was only for the neighbor behind the house because the whole array is behind his pole barn.
And there was no trees back there?
Mm.
I thought that was the argument that we had last year.
There was an opening on the fence line to the property to the north, that if somebody would happen to build a house back there, they'd be able to see the screen array.
Was that the one where one of the companies we had hired to do planning and zoning, where they had set a certain kind of tree, and that tree was just outrageous, so we allowed them to pick a different kind of tree?
She ended up putting evergreens in the back.
Yeah, it is the same.
Yep.
She wanted a different kind of tree
Yep, and
because that one was too expensive.
well, she still ended up putting evergreens in to cover them.
Right, but not,
So in order to make sure that we do the same and there's consistency, since we did this on Sunset, wouldn't it be valuable to know who the complainant was about the array, whether it's the person on one side or the other? And then make sure, because we're making them move an array back. And it might be more visible to a neighbor than it was in the front.
I think Susan can speak to that because it's not a complaint. This is for Susan to process
Yeah,
the permit.
this actually wasn't,
This didn't come in as a complaint. This was never a complaint.
it wasn't a direct complaint. No, it was actually, I think it was the driveway inspector at that time, or it was an employee, and I'd have to go back and confirm. But their mailbox was actually not a swingway mailbox. So then when I looked at the overhead, kind of get a feel for what was going on in the property, I looked at the overhead and I said, that looks really close to the road. So then I researched it and then came in front of you guys in January with the enforcement, because of course I was working with the applicant, looking for the extension, et cetera. So it wasn't a direct complaint from a neighbor.
Okay. So that brings up another question that I have, which is, I've been told many times since I started on here that we're complaint driven for code enforcements. So, because otherwise we should all be driving around looking at our neighbors then for any violations. That's where I'm a little concerned on that. I know it's opening a whole different can of worms, but like I said, the whole Sunset thing and looking at how this all has functioned in this guy's case, I think we need to take a look at how we're doing code enforcements, and if we're doing it off from a resident complaint driven, or is it a employee?
isn't it the
Complaint.
fact that he did this the first time without a permit?
Without a permit, yes. He was denied the permit during the zoning
Still
review.
put it in.
Yep.
And still put it
It
in.
moved it closer.
So this isn't, okay. That says something totally different then. So somebody did something without a permit, we drove by, seen it, and that's why this started.
He was denied the permit.
Got it. Okay, thank you, because that's a lot more clear.
Does the screening for this have to be vegetation?
The code does say in the form of vegetation that requires, or that provides year-round coverage or site topography, that as such it would screen it. I know there's a portion of it regarding, I think there's a portion regarding fencing, but it's not directly in that part of the code that I printed for the meeting.
I was thinking, put up a 6-foot fence along that side there and screen it.
Does the fence have to be 12 feet?
We don't allow 12-foot fence.
We don't allow 12-foot fences.
And I thought the ordinance was,
But if a 6-foot fence would screen this whole thing, would that not suffice? I'm just looking at options. I'm just pitching things out there.
Can I ask a question? So when because this is a fairly newer ordinance in the sense of within 5 years, what was the intent of the board waiving stuff?
What are you talking about waiving?
It's that's specifically usually if you're gonna vary from a code, you do a variance, but this actually has a line saying the board can waive. So in the sense, I'm just wondering what the history or that, because why, to that point, it's becoming selective, or in the case of, I don't know the previous case, but it sounds like that one was in the backyard, but it was, if somebody built, they'd see it. It's just putting a lot of subjectivity to it.
Well, the first time I
The way
saw
it's
this,
written.
I just happened to be driving around Orinoco Circle. I just happened to glance to the right. I never would even noticed it was sitting where it was sitting. So putting this thing back 75 feet back in there. Unless you drive by and you turn your head and you look back there to see it, I don't think you really even knows it's that, knows it's back there. Just saying. Board's thoughts. What do you want to do?
I honestly don't think this is our problem.
It's definitely not our problem, but it's always our problem.
I know, but. I think
It's
he
not, but
needs
it
to
is. It's in
screen
the
it.
ordinance or it's in our zoning, so it becomes our problem.
I know, but he didn't get,
No,
was denied a,
but when he was confronted with it, came in and he's resolving the issue. And now the question comes back to, yes, he's moving it back. He's getting it back in the sticks, back there in the trees.
we denied it on what basis?
The initial zoning review back in, I forget, 2020, 2021, it was actually denied because it was being placed too close to the road. At that time, it was gonna be approximately 25 feet. And they actually placed it closer. It's approximately, 14, 15 feet from that road right away, and it's supposed to be 75. So it was denied. That company at that time ignored that and proceeded to install it far closer than even their initial site plan.
May I make a statement on that too?
But
I don't know if this is true. Maybe you could go back in the records and look. According to the homeowner, he didn't have knowledge that that permit was denied. It was at the previous company's discretion that they decided to put it in anyways. So,
Yeah, but they
I,
work for him. And
Correct.
And we hear this all the time. We have people come in and say, well, I know the driveway's 10 times bigger than it's supposed to be, but my contractor said it's okay. That's not, I know you're doing your job, but that is really not our problem. And we
Yep.
hear that a lot. So
I'm,
so right now there's a request to waive solar screening. I make a motion that we do not waive solar screening on 7515 North Orinoco Circle.
And I second it.
moving second, any more discussion?
That's just to deny it. So then they have to follow the exact
Ordinance,
I'm just going
Ordinance
right here. That's.
versus a modification of
which,
height or whatever.
if I may, just like Susan mentioned, there's the fencing side of it is the next section, and if fencing is placed around a ground mount system, which this is, that fence shall consist of metal or wood and contain no barbed wire. If chain link fencing is used, it shall be coated in black vinyl to minimize the visual effect of the fence. So that has no height or anything, so they could put a fence around it too, in the sense that it doesn't have to be the vegetation only.
So basically,
Correct.
basically be a 6-foot fence.
Okay. I mean, is that how you interpret that?
Doesn't make any sense when trees have to be 12 feet in maturity. But you can put in a 6-foot fence.
Yeah. So
In
it's-
agreement to that?
Yep, they got, well, the ordinance, they have options.
So by the ordinance, they could actually put a fence in. So they have to have up to 12-foot screening if it's vegetation. And we only allow a 6-foot fence. They have to put a 6-foot fence in as long as it screens it, and it has to be wood, metal, black chain link fence, whatever.
Not barbed.
Not barbed wire.
We have options.
So that's his options.
You could use a metal cattle fence. Because a cattle fence is metal.
As long as it screens it, can't look through it. Has to be screened.
You can look through a chain link fence.
Nice put slats in it. Just saying.
Mhm.
Hey, Jeff.
Follow the ordinance.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by, the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. He's gonna have to screen it.
thank you, board.
Thank you. All right, now we're gonna back up a little bit.
Can I ask a question?
Hi, Susan.
Hello. Because this was an enforcement that started back in January, the board unanimously approved the extension, which actually expires tomorrow for this property to come into compliance. The permit's been applied for. Again, that kind of got halted because of there was no screening in the actual plans. Is it the board's, I guess, recommendation or to maybe extend that extension date bit further so they can come into compliance and not go against what the board had already approved back in January.
I'll make a motion to.
Would you make the motion to extend it?
extension.
We need a time span.
Yep. Do you have a time frame for what
Time span for when it will be free.
the completion of the system?
I think within the next month.
I'll extend it to the end of the year. 12/31.
Okay, I got a motion to extend it to 12/31. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moving second, any discussion?
So if they do choose to do trees or whatever, are they gonna be able to get them in the ground in a month or by the end of the year?
That's big, well.
Just wondering.
Well, we're giving them to the end of the year to get it done, so it's not up to us, it's up to them.
My interpretation or thought would be that if the conversation is now, here's what the board is, and then should they want something and there's a plan in place that's documented, that's the kind of thing that could come before and just be in the consent agenda, like, we're gonna do this and here's what it's gonna be, and we approve it to the springtime when they can do it. We all are in communication. We don't have to take the clock away at 25 minutes on something.
That makes
But
sense.
this forces the decision to be made by the end of the year.
Okay. More discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. There we go. Got the extension. Now we're gonna back up a little bit here. Gonna have Mr. Jeff Reinhardt step up and talk to us. Daryl tried to drag on his conversation, his meeting minutes, but he didn't do a very good job. Welcome, come on up, Commissioner.
Page
How you guys doing tonight?
45.
Welcome.
Thank you. So you just want an update on how things are going?
Talk to us.
All right, well, Daryl, why don't you come on up? As soon as I was elected 4.5 years ago, got to know Daryl, and he was talking about the fact that fire department needed a generator. And so I did try different avenues of trying to get that done, unsuccessfully until we did get some ARPA funds from federal government, which then qualified for, this kind of use. We got, I think it was $93,000, wasn't it? And as we were, looking at the cost of the generators, it turned out that we were able to get a couple of them, one for the fire station. Because I remember when I was talking to, I think it was Bob once, he said, well, we need one for town hall too. And so it ended up that we got the right amount of dollars to then actually end up getting 2 of them. So I think you guys must be pretty happy about that.
We are.
Now, if there's a power loss, you can get the doors open and get the trucks out, and also operate City Hall. So huge win, huge win. Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
Appreciate that.
And today, the board, I've been working on this for the last few months too, and that's there was some dollars available for broadband and expanding it. We did a couple of projects in Columbus. And then, obviously up here, you need a lot of broadband too. And today I was successful in getting a $1.6 million set aside for a program. Pam, I think that Jim, our new county administrator, called and talked to you today, I think it was. And so we've got a project that we're going to get done here for broadband to extend it out into this area. We're doing a project over in Columbus as well. And then the next thing I need to work on, I'm going to spearhead this into the new year. Actually, I said this at the county board meeting today. That's why I have a tie on, by the way. I don't always do this. But yeah, the one thing you guys need is every time I come up here, I try to make a phone call as I'm driving down Viking Road, my call drops. You guys need some better cellular service up here. So, I mean, I go ice fishing out on Lake of the Woods. 5-6 miles out onto the lake, Canadian border, I can make phone calls, but I can't on Viking Boulevard. So anyway, that's another thing I'm gonna be working on. So, so those are just some updates. Do you guys have any questions for me about anything else?
Commissioner, I greatly appreciate your assistance and your help in this. Without you, I don't think this would ever have happened. So this is good things for the township, and we greatly appreciate your efforts.
Well, I appreciate it. And I love doing these kinds of things, 'cause that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And ever since you said the firehouse has no generator, I mean, you got to have a generator. So anyway, glad to help, and contact me anytime. This is what I do. So
Very good.
Thank you, everybody.
Pam's got a question.
Just a question on where we go from here then with the generator grant. Is that, my understanding is the township will pay for that and then be reimbursed. So
Yeah,
it
it's a-
actually would be going back to the county.
Yeah, reimbursable grant. And so it does have to be purchased first, then you present receipts, and then the dollars are then reimbursed. So, and we've got now with Jim Dickinson, our new county administrator, great guy, by the way. He was, I think, 20 some years and over city administrator. Just, he'll get that done. And, contact me, of course, if you have any issue whatsoever.
So, thank
All
you.
right.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. And with that, we have Lieutenant Sullivan on, he'll be virtualing in. He has the bids from the October 8th meeting. He was asked to spearhead 3 quotes. With that, Lieutenant Sullivan, is he on?
Can you hear me?
There he is.
Yep, we got you, Mark.
All right. Just a heads up, it says Linwood Township network bandwidth low, so if I'm cutting out, just let me know. So I did get the bids refreshed from the last time we met. And added a 3rd bid from Air Mechanical. So those 3 bids, I sent you guys the documentation on. Midwest Generators came in the lowest, just by a few $100s, followed by Air Mechanical and then Pioneer Power Equipment. We worked mostly with Midwest Generator on the sizing, evaluations. They got our power reports from Excel for the past couple of years, looked at our peak power usage and everything for both the town hall and the fire station. And then we used that size generator with the other quotes so we can do as much of an apples to apples comparison. Pioneer Power Equipment came in higher. They don't have a generator in that size range, so they went to the next size larger. That's why theirs is where it sits. I guess, what kind of questions do you guys have after looking through the documentation?
Mark, is there one company that you're leaning towards more than others? I mean, did you compare and contrast through the 3 contracts themselves, or?
I reviewed the contracts, as far as as far as going through it. Midwest is inching ahead in, they come across as more geared towards a generator company, as in maintenance packages, other offerings, the responsiveness. Air Mechanical also was very quick in responsiveness too, so I do not want to make them sound bad. But Midwest came in at the lowest price. They do have good reviews. They were recommended me by a few others to make sure we had them in as a quote. So I'm kind of leaning towards Midwest.
Other questions?
I guess I'd point out the other difference. So Midwest, by the way, as far as I know, is a 1-day, should be about a 1-day install. They come out with, they place the generator on a preformed pad. Air Mechanical comes out and will excavate and pour a concrete pad. So that's really the 2 differences. They are both using Generac generators. Same thing there. So it's really down to the company and service at that point.
So these costs are total costs. That's full installation. It's cost of the generator, the install, everything. Is that correct?
That is correct. They believe everything is fine as far as gas meters and everything else. Both companies, Midwest and Air Mechanical, they threw out the caveat that if we are starving for amount of natural gas, that they would, we'd have to have our meter upsized. But they believe, based on they took pictures of the meters, went through everything, and everything should be fine. But it is, in their fine print.
Yeah.
There may be additional costs, Mark. I did call every company just because they're there are some differences that maybe shouldn't be differences. I don't know. I'm not a generator person, but with help from Pam too, is comparing these. We may have to pay for a gas permit through Midwest Electric. I called them earlier today. They didn't know if that was included because Pioneer says that all permits are included. I called Air Mechanical. Electric and gas was included, but mechanical was not included. So that would be at the dollar of the township. And I called Midwest Electric, couldn't get a hold of anybody that could give me any answers. And so there is potential for a township cost for the gas permit for the gas lines as well. So
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. I'm not sure on that one myself. I thought they said all permits were covered. But yeah, looking at it, yeah, electrical permits, mechanical permits, but I don't see a note on a gas permit.
Is that with the contractor or for us?
They're doing all the work.
I'm sorry, maybe for the utility. Is that what you mean for the gas, or that would be us? We'd have.
there'd be three permits that,
With
yeah,
Linwood.
your gas, your electrical and your mechanical. So, and like Pioneer, it includes all of them. Air Mechanical, it didn't have the mechanical permit in there. I just went and ballparked it because you can do it off of the valuation of the project. So roughly $1,200 potentially for a mechanical permit. But yet Midwest Electric is including an electric permit and a mechanical permit, but there should also be a gas one in there. And I don't deal with gas permits, so I don't know what that would run. But like Mark said, it could potentially be included. I just couldn't speak to anybody that could give me any information on it this afternoon, so. And also with that, Midwest Electric offers the 5-year that is the unit itself warranty. It's a limited warranty. Air Mechanical offers a 1-year labor warranty, and then they also have the 5-year limited warranty. With as far as maintenance plans, Midwest Electric offers separate maintenance plans. They're geared towards this. They install a lot of generators. Air Mechanical doesn't have a service set up for it yet, but they're working on it. So just kind of thinking long run here.
Yeah, and those are one of the questions I called them today too, asking about service plans. And Air Mechanical did give me direct answers on it, so they called me back and they haven't yet. The Midwest does have the like the gold and platinum plans. And those are if you want to have them come out every year to change the oil, change the filters, all that kind of stuff. They have 3 plans for that. I think their middle plan, if you go with that, on the 3rd year, they give you, swap out batteries and do all that stuff. So, but that would be something that we would want to decide on after the generators are installed or within a period of after that, if we want a maintenance plan or not.
So what is our total for both generators per company?
Midwest Electric, $99,275. Air Mechanical, $100,737. Pioneer is $128,944.
They're all higher than the grant, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, the one coming in 99,275 is about 6,000 more than the grant. So. Board's pleasure. I find it difficult, and this money would come out of
Building capital.
building capital. And we got plenty to cover $6,000 out of building capital.
There's over 200,000 in it.
I'll make a motion to go with Midwest Electric and generator for the generators for that township, for the town hall and the fire department.
The total amount.
And the amount of, give me this right, $99,275.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion.
I completely in support. I just want to make sure we don't derail and shoot ourselves in the foot with the permit stuff and everything else that might come up. So is it? And still not understanding, you know, thank you, Pam, for that question, because that was my question too, because as I sit here right now, we still just have a verbal. So I mean, in terms of making sure there's a process for, I don't know, have we processed this kind of grant with the county before that you just turn in? So I think we just need that documentation with the administrator that here's the plan going forward with it. So we have that, you know, and this is a no-brainer in the sense that, yeah, if they're gonna pay for it, but we gotta make sure they're paying for it.
So should we be making a motion to proceed with the project, but get a final cost back?
I'm thinking right now, Mark, can you get a hold of Midwest and get us and confirm all these numbers and these permit costs and get us one final number with Midwest?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay, I'll,
Can,
And
so, who seconded it?
I seconded
Did
it.
you rescind your second?
I'll rescind my
I
second.
rescind my motion. I
But
make
I'd
a
also,
motion that we,
one
I'd
more-
also like to know something about the maintenance cost, if that's possible.
yeah, if you could get the maintenance costs on those yearly maintenance costs, Mark?
Yes, I will follow up with the maintenance documentation. And I'll verify the permit and get a final cost there. Yeah, there's a quick side note. From the time we do the purchase, they're looking at a February, March timeframe. You know, you had to order the generator and there's a backlog in generators. So just so you guys are aware of the project timeline.
Imagine Ford is trying to get a bunch up. Pam?
In talking with, the county administrator, the money needs to be committed this year. So even though the project the money needs to be spent by 2026, but there needs to be contracts in place this year, just so the board's aware of that.
So basically if you can get this information back next meeting, we can make the motion tonight to continue with the project with Midwest.
Gee,
Correct.
Something.
Oh, here comes
And
Chief.
just to echo Supervisor Lutke's, do we have to have a contract with the county too, just to make sure that those funds are actually allocated towards this project? So we know
With the
that
county
we don't.
administrator.
Okay, all right.
All right, so I'm gonna make a motion that we continue this project with Midwest Electric and Generator Incorporated for both generators. It costs right now $99,275. And we'll vote on okay, I'm just gonna go with that there. First thing first. I'll make a motion, we continue with the project with Midwest.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And if we can have this come back at the next meeting, have all the information, we can vote on it, pass it. Then hopefully, Mark, can you have us a contract at that time too?
Yes, I'll work on getting all that and I will be in person the next time too. I apologize. I couldn't make it today.
Okay, so then we'll have a contract and we can look at the contract at the next meeting,
From Midwest.
the Midwest.
Because Pam will work with the county on that. And then one other thing, Susan, can you connect with Mark and just make sure from zoning, we're good? I mean, in terms of placement, or I just questioned because we spent a half hour on a solar grid and now we're just gonna drop a generator in and I don't want the township to go fight itself.
I'll look into it, and get back to you. I don't have it in front of me.
Now, thank you.
Cool.
'Cause
You have 2 weeks.
So. Yeah,
All
if
right.
you could work with Mark, appreciate it.
All right, any more discussion on generators? All right, thank you, Mark. Appreciate all the work you're doing, bud.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
All right, now we got rid of we got done with Commissioner Reinhardt. We got the screening taken care of. Old business, town board ordinance amendment procedures.
What happened to parks?
Where'd Parks going? Did I miss Parks?
7?
It's not on my
I
agenda.
don't have Parks. I got number 7 is town board ordinance.
Town board
amendment
ordinance.
Procedure.
Parks on them. All right, number 8.
We're not 8, we're at
That's
7.
7.
Let's do 7 first. You have to do this in order. I get in trouble.
All right,
People yell at me if I don't do it in order. Okay, now we're going back to this town board ordinance amendment procedure. Let me get it on my screen here so I can go find this thing.
okay. This is a procedure for the town board to decide on what ordinances you don't care to have and take them to planning and zoning. You're always asking for written procedures. So here's a written procedure and it is a draft. And because you can't, the board needs to decide together. It takes a board decision to change an ordinance, not a personal supervisor.
Where'd this come from? Is this somebody else's and we're adopting it, or?
No, it's not. It's a combination of Susan and Carol. This came out of our discussion at the last board meeting.
Board thoughts?
I like it. It's, it starts to define stuff. Whether it starts from here and goes to there, it's along the lines of having a policy, so I appreciate that. The only thing I would do is start with, some kind of organizational, so whether this is PZ policy, 001 or whatever it is, so that way there, as you come on as a supervisor, you could be handed and know, here's all the policies, and know that, okay, if I'm talking planning and zoning, I know I can reference these 6 policies for P and Z, this one for maintenance, or this one for budget and spending. I think it starts a path to know what and where to go. We got a couple P and Z guys. Have you seen this? Does this work?
They have not seen it.
Okay.
This is a procedure. This, like I said, this came out of the last town board meeting. And you talked about meeting with the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I couldn't see a process in my head. Because you can't just point and say, I don't like that.
Mhm.
And because the town board has to agree. If they want to go in a different direction, they have to agree.
Nope, that makes sense.
I'm sorry, Andy,
That makes sense.
I did not understand what you just said, but I'd be happy to.
That makes sense, what you said.
Good. No, I meant that what you said before.
Oh, I'm just talking, this is like, as it sits, this is, a policy, and I was just saying to get a Dewey Decimal System for it, this is PZ1, so if you're talking about planning and zoning, to go to your, I see this growing and being something more with other departments, and, it's the spending ordinance, financial stuff, you could go to these sections and know what and where things are, so.
Anybody else?
I love it.
Mhm.
I love it. I applaud you guys for
Mhm.
putting this together. But like Andy said too, it's somehow there's got to be a way that we can start cataloging this stuff and then making sure people have access to it. Because this is very valuable. Thank you for doing that, both of you.
Thank you. So where does it go from here?
Planning and zoning, and have them take a look at it and see if they agree with it or not, if they like what's in there, if they think there should be some other way to change them.
Okay.
At least you have them review
It's a
it.
good way to test what we've been doing with a policy. Take it over. No, I agree. That's why I want more stakeholders involved and making sure that then this sets the clarity that you spoke to at the last meeting, Carol. If they get this, do they have what they need for a process?
Get it.
I think I'll make a motion, we send this over to planning and zoning and get their recommendations for this.
I will second.
Moving second to discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Very
you. Thank you
We
again
got
for doing that,
something
because that's gonna set a lot of these things in motion.
Two. Okay, you ready? We're getting into your venue here. Yeah,
Any,
we're on that page.
any and all?
Reuse building scope clarification. We're gonna include with that the electric pole quote removal quote. Reuse building update. You can just roll from one right to the other.
Okay. So I'll, with the update,
Thank you, Susan.
or you wanna just do the?
Let's start with
This
eight.
one, this one's here is on. So page 76 is the thing aligned with 8. And that's, I think that's the carryover from the last meeting.
So just for clarification, the reason why I asked this to be put on the agenda was because we had a little confusing discussion at the last meeting between Bob and I as to what the scope of the project was. And so both of us agreed to bring it back to this meeting so that we had clarity.
Gotcha, yeah.
So that was the purpose of me putting that on the agenda.
So, perfect. So that's part of the project. That shows the scope creep of where it changed. And we got the new quote from Walters this summer. July 23rd, that one was approved. But that one was approved off the number, not off the quote. So that's where I think, when we look back at it, I think that's where we lost it, because we didn't have the actual quote. The new one. So is that what you have?
Yep.
So this never came before,
29.
this never came before the board.
It was signed by Mike Parker.
Because it came before in the claims than after, correct? So,
So it was changed on July 29th or July 23rd. It was changed to all steel.
correct.
Okay.
But this board only saw this at the meeting. So somewhere a conversation was had with the contractor to change it to steel. And that's just what and where it is. But I think it shows that we can probably improve on documentation, tracking through the process. Nevertheless, we're here. There's steel sitting out there that got delivered last Friday.
What's that?
Yeah, this one.
So, and I think maybe that's just part of the process stuff, and we could figure that out, that if some changes, it comes back before for just in the consent agenda. We've already approved it at this. Here's the documentation to do it. So that is what was delivered last week. So it's steel, the liner for the ceiling, the walls, which is what incurred the cost for the electrical to be bumped back. And then Wright Hennepin is online with all but say 2 or 3 sensors because of reuse. They have to, they just got the tails in there because they obviously haven't done insulation walls and everything, but warming house and parks maintenance is all online. Electrical, talked to the contractor, and they've got the bid for the pole, because we also got the architectural plans off to the builder, or off to the building official for review. So they're in review with him right now. So those are the stamped architectural plans for the code analysis. And upon that review, we'll be able to get those out for just reevaluated quotes from asphalt and concrete vendors. Again, as you unpeel the layers here, our permits are completely discombobulated. So as he spoke to us at the joint meeting, he's working with us administratively. However, the address changed for the park. Did you guys get any record of that, Pam? That the address changed for the park with the county?
That is the address. Off of that street.
But so it did change this year. Okay, so that messed up. Well, it would have been this year because we had the permit for the building under the old address. So again, the delays we see is he couldn't find the permit because the address did not exist. So, so yeah, if things like those change and we got active, please communicate them up because we found that today. So he's looking at the permit for the plan review. They'll get that back to us. He said he's out of town right now though at a conference. And then right, Hennepin, we do have to circle back on just some of the access control and everything. So you have all that from right, Hennepin? The access control, right, Hennepin, everything security is right, Hennepin. You have all you need from them, or are you waiting on anything from them? Yep, so we approved that from that, so that's this point. So at this point, you can turn access on for what we need to do, or what do we need to do to put that to rest?
To get through the election.
I'm asking for the steps. I don't care about the time frame because we want to make sure.
Yes, I have what I need.
Okay,
Figure out who's have different access now, and yeah, that is not in place yet. Just,
Okay.
Put it in and
we need I'm just making notes for the whole project scope. We're gonna need an access control meeting, so.
I would include security.
Yeah. Oh, but it's a bullet point, so we're not falling behind. So yeah, we're talking everything. I know you missed the last meeting, but we're trying to move this through, so. I will add that as a bullet point to come back to. Other than that. So the well, who had the well?
Originally I did, before you took it over, I had the well. And all I get calls from the office saying, is the well done? And I said, I'll go look at it. So I went, after the last meeting, I went and looked at it. The well was not done. Because they want to get paid. So I was called and said, did the well get finished? And I went out there and I said, no, the well didn't get paid. And then last Thursday, I've been out of town a long time. Last Thursday, I got a call from Josh. And he said, we are done. And I said, I just looked in the window and I said, that old tank is laying on the ground. He said, yeah, we put the old tank back in. And I said, you know what? I'm leaving town, something screwy Louie here. So that's why I wanted you to get this. Did you get this from Josh? The McCullough? The $9,000 where it says install a 350 tank with controllers? Did you get that? Earlier than right now?
Yeah, we all saw it at the board meeting when we approved it.
Okay, because I got in town at 5:15 today and I have not looked at anything. I have not talked to you about anything. So that's why the whole board has this now. Because I don't know where this is sitting out. After the last meeting, I got out of this. And then all I got a call is it done or not? And I was up here for something. Right, peeking in windows, and I went and looked and it was not done. So all I got was a call from our treasurer saying, should I pay this bill? And I said, I'll see if it's done. And it was not done. And that's when I went out of town.
So why did I get that same message?
From, who'd you get a message from? Asking if it's done? I don't know. Maybe you didn't answer phone calls and I did.
See, Bob.
I'm asking you a question.
Bob, this is passive aggressive. I was speaking to the last meeting.
Yeah.
So if you were working on the well last
I
week,
wasn't working on the well last week. Wasn't doing a damn thing with the well.
why wouldn't you just say, have you talked to Andy?
I did. I said, it's not done. And then I said, make sure Andy gets this. That's exactly what I did.
In the packet? Okay.
No, not in the packet.
Okay.
Before I went out of town, I wanted you to get this.
This is that.
So
Yep.
All right, John.
it kind of goes back to what you said at the last meeting. You said if Andy's gonna be the project manager, all communications have to go through
Exactly.
Andy, period. And
Yep.
if you've talked to somebody, let Andy know.
Yep.
So I got a phone call from the well guys on Friday, that they needed to get in because they were given a date to try to get the stuff done. And they didn't have access on Friday because, our recycling people were not there. So I came over and let them in. And, so there was a lot of things that happened in the conversation. I learned a lot of stuff. I asked like about the fittings on the back of the building, if there was gonna be a fitting on the back of the building for the fire hoses so that they could flood. He said, no, there's gonna be one on the tank. So therefore the hoses are gonna have to be run out an open door while they're flooding, those kind of things. So what did I do? I left, I pulled up here in the shade and I called Andy and I said, before I forget, I met with the guys, here's what was said. You make notes. Andy is a note keeper. I never wrote anything down of my conversation. I told him before I forgot. So it's like, that's how we keep a project manager informed and up to date on what's going on so that he knows all the moving pieces. And I think that's what Andy's referring to, is that if he's not told when there's a conversation between a contractor and a representative of the township, he starts getting out of the loop. He starts falling behind on the progress of the project. So, so that's my 2 cents on it. I think that's what Andy's trying to get to, is communicate.
So you want this, you want me to have this for what reason?
I was leaving town and I wasn't involved in.
But this is what we already
anymore.
approved 2 weeks ago.
I know, but in my thought, it wasn't being done properly, so I wanted you to get this to make sure you knew. And if you were going back there, because you're the project manager of the job, you would see that there's not a new 350 tank in there.
Okay, from what we talked about.
Yeah.
Just back to the last meeting, okay. So,
So I'm trying not to talk to Josh
okay,
at all.
So,
and just tell Josh to talk to me.
okay, so the question is, so they put the old tank in, they didn't put a new tank in.
Correct.
we
And if
didn't
you look
put-
at the quote right there, we paid $100 more for an old quote tank that was ours than a brand new tank off the shelf.
Did we pay, yeah, we paid $17.50 for an old tank.
For our tank.
Yeah.
So once I got my head wrapped around that, I talked to the office at McCullough and we got it squared away. The part of the process is they test our old tank when they hook it up. That hasn't happened, as it's still sitting where it's at. But in doing that, we went around a bunch of times because it was the same thing. It was the line items there. It's a tank, it's a tank. We finally went through it slow and I said, explain to me why we're paying $100 more. Who takes these quotes and would do $100 more for something that's yours rather than something that's new? At which point they were able to look at the old quote from last year and see it was simply a typo and carried over. So we were able to get it discounted with $1,000 off. So that'll be a new updated price. I'll get that over to the office. Again, they say their process is to send it out because a lot of times their work is incurred early in the line of their business. They drill a well for a house and they don't go back to do the final hookup till the plumbers are in it later. So they invoice for what they do. So this one here, that invoice was dated. I mean, we met on the 24th and we had an invoice to pay and fill on the 27th. Of which they were obviously already scheduled to come out and do the work after our meeting. It's because they came in the next day. So all that aside, we'll get the new quote, get it updated. We do have quite a bit of extra cost that will probably put us back up over that quote because we do not have electrical for the pump. So we need to get an electrician to quote for that because there's no provisions there. We have to do the plumbing for the flooding, unless that was the plan, to just flood with the door open. And those were the discussions I wasn't in early, so that's why we're having them here.
I wasn't,
What were you-
I
what-
wasn't in a discussion for getting the plumbing out to the exterior of the building either.
Oh. Who got this quote?
The original quote, either John or I, the original quote.
No, this quote that we were doing the activities on right now.
Probably me.
So we need to have that, I guess that's the question. So what was your thought for the plumbing? Same kind of setup outside the building?
Same exact setup.
All right, so we need a plumbing quote to be able to get that taken care of. And essentially talking with McCullough, that's more along the lines of the plumber aspect. They kind of get so far up the stack and then the plumber takes over and does a lot of the other stuff. The electrician, we're gonna get him to get an estimate. And then the sprinkler system. They pulled the piping. And they put a T in there for the blowout, so I got talk with Jack on that to make sure, because he said when he does the final setup, he can do whatever connection we want there to assist with blowouts as opposed to what it is, but we don't have the control and the power for the sprinklers in the building. So getting those in there is another cost
Those are the control wires for the valves.
for the irrigation.
Getting out all that now. Maybe I'm still sitting here with the deer in the headlight look. So are we keeping our old tank or are they putting a new tank in?
At this point, if our tank is what it's up to the board. But I mean, if we go with the new, it's gonna be, it'll be about that price we paid, or we take the $1,000 and put the old one in until it goes.
And if we put the old one in, I mean, if you look at it, I should have taken a picture. The bottom of it is pretty darn rusty. I don't know how old it is, but it's pretty rusty. And if it's rusty on the outside, I don't know what it's gonna look like on the inside. But yeah, otherwise it's $750 to have them test our tank and then reuse it. $1,650 if we just have them put a brand new tank in. If we don't do the brand new tank and that one fails in a year or two, we're gonna be paying for the new tank plus taking the old one out and installing. There's gonna be labor involved.
I may be crazy or anything, but why are we putting a new tank in there? We put a brand new building up there, old crap out of the old building out there that could fail this year, next year, gonna cost us a heck of a lot more money. Why aren't we? I make most we tell them to put a 350 gallon, brand new 350 gallon tank in the new building. There's my motion.
Not a 350 gallon tank.
350 gallon tank. That's what it says.
350 gallons.
Is
Yep.
it?
Mhm.
Well, it's-
WX 350.
Well, whatever the 350 tank
Okay.
is, I don't know if it's a gallon or if it's what it is, but it says 350 tank. I make a motion, we put a new one in. That's my motion.
Well, at this point, we're still at the $9,000 we approved. So I can make that, if it's the consensus of the board, that's the direction I'll give.
For a second?
I'll second it for discussion. The only thing I would wonder is, are they gonna try to hit us with any labor? Cause they had to disconnect the old tank from the silver building and move it in. Now it's just sitting there,
Mhm.
but are they gonna charge us anything for that? That might be an unknown at this point.
It's an unknown, but I will have a discussion in terms of the headache and confusion this has cost us.
Because it clearly says they're installing a 350 tank. Whether they put the old tank in just because they thought about putting the old tank in.
Yeah, but like Alyssa says, below it says if anew. So I think that's just part of, like we see going through this stuff is making sure that with like bringing up the questions, it's real easy to get tunnel vision on stuff. And I think that's why it's great that we're a team at it, because then you can look at the stuff and make sure that the scope creep, because if at the end of the day, we should be maximizing all of our abilities, which would be, in the case of this, not forgetting that we can have two supervisors have a conversation. So you're out there having that project conversation, you understand the scope of it. When this comes back, it's two people looking at it, understanding what it was. And that's, you're getting generator quotes coming at you from 3 vendors and making sure you got to drill through this stuff and go. Same thing with this stuff, because at face value, it's installing a 350 tank at that price. Who wouldn't think that's new? And what it was new, it was carried over from the other one, but the project and through conversations and whatever carried it over. So I will see what it is. I mean, at this point, it gets the new one on order and gets it here and we can sort through the incidentals of miscellaneous fittings because it's going to go up because we have to do the plumbing or the flooding. So there's punching the hole in the wall, getting that piping into the well. And then the power for it.
And that plumbing is a different contractor,
Yep.
as I understood it.
So that's a plumber. The plumber will actually
Okay, we're not
hook
looking
it
at
all up.
Let's go work on the motion we have on the floor first.
So
That motion's still sitting out there that we go and
Mhm.
we have them put a new WX 350 tank in. It's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, now anything else?
yeah, at this point, the other ones are gonna be estimates because they're not. We gotta get those other contractors out there to look at it. And at this point, I don't wanna hold it up anymore, and we already have preferred contractors with said project. We are able to direct negotiate at a certain cost, then all this work should fall under that. That I just make those costs, and I don't want to come back in the next meeting and say, you need another bid. We just gotta move forward here.
Yes.
Agreed.
Anybody
Okay.
else agree?
Sure.
Okay, making sure.
Okay, now. Let's talk about a light pole.
Okay, the reason I pulled it out is because it had options in it. And if we were gonna bid on it, I mean, if we were gonna pass it in the consent agenda, which option were we approving? On the bottom, it has options right here.
Mhm.
What option you wanna go for? I don't have it in my packet.
Here,
I know it's out there, but.
that's the only reason I pulled it out.
Basically, if we want to get the pole out, it's gonna cost us $12.25. We can deny it, we can table it, or we can move forward with it. So. What's the board's pleasure? We need to get it out of the way? Is it in the way?
Absolutely.
I make a motion, we move forward with the pole removal bid from Kaylee Electric in the amount of $1,225.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Abstain.
Oh, one abstain. Why'd you have to abstain?
Conflict of interest. We were all trained on that.
What did you do?
What?
What's a conflict of interest?
I have one. So I abstained.
Okay, good enough.
No.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah. Not gain, no. A common law. Remember, there's statutory conflicts and common law. It's not all financial based.
Good enough. We have one abstention. 4 ayes, 1 abstain. Motion passes. Anything else? Moving right along. Meeting, streaming and recording.
So I had this put on the agenda. The reason why is because we talked about it at the last board meeting. So what I did was, I had proposed some, changes to the policy, verbally. So what I did was the first copy is a red line copy so that you could see the changes that I had gone through in the last meeting. Just so that they're a little bit more clear. If the board chooses to move forward with these, modifications tonight, there's a clean draft of the, retention policy as well. And that has all of those changes so that it could be, easily adopted. I don't know if you wanted to walk through, we talked through them in the last meeting. I don't know if you wanted to talk through them again, each point, but they're identified in the red line copy.
Board pleasure. Want to walk to it? Everybody had a chance to read it?
Yeah, I read it.
Huh?
I read it. It's good.
Is there a motion to accept it as amended?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the revised video streaming and retention policy effective immediately.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 3-2, motion passes. Community sign easement agreement and JPA. Pam, do you want to talk to that? Let me find it in here because I know if this passes, I'm going to sign something.
Yes, so a while back, the board signed the monument easement agreement. This is between the church, the school district, and the township because the church owns the property where the sign's going to be. So that was already agreed to with the town board. And then when the joint powers agreement for management of the sign, when that came up, the board wanted it to go to the attorney. The attorney made a few suggestions. So those suggestions went to the school district. They made the changes and basically, I don't have exactly changes, but basically what it was the monument sign agreement said that it didn't define that there would be a 50-50 ownership. So some of the language that was in the JPA was not consistent with the monument agreement. So because the monument agreement said, the easement said that it was vague on the ownership of the sign. The JPA said it was a 50-50. So that got put into the easement agreement. There was some language there that referred to a state statute that was not included in it originally, and the attorney wanted to see that in there. That's been added in there. That was that's in the monument agreement. That refers to a state statute. My page is twisted around here.
You need a new mouse, Mike. I'm sorry.
It's the child.
It's the mouse you gave me,
I'm missing.
and it sounds like a mouse. Ain't funny. It's driving me nuts over here.
Was it page 3 under liability, Pam?
It is actually, I'm sorry, it's in the joint powers agreement on the first page under item C. And it says the purpose of this agreement is to establish how the content of the messages will be displayed on the sign to be controlled by the district and the township. What was added and is entered into pursuant to the authority granted under Minnesota statute 471.59. And what that's referring to is the authority to be able to enter into joint powers agreement. And the attorney just wanted to see that stated in there. Like I said, it was making things consistent between the two documents. And so this now has been, both documents have been re-signed by the school district. The church is in agreement with it. I think they're meeting this week to sign. And so it's up to the town board to agree on these two documents.
You have a chance to read them? Everybody in agreement with them?
Mhm.
Entertain a motion to allow me to sign these two.
I'll make a motion to allow the chairperson to sign these joint power agreements.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Gotta do this as I go. Signed. All right,
One quick question. Pam, do we need to have a motion to include the monument agreement? Is that different than the joint powers?
Yes, the motion was to sign both agreements.
Okay, okay,
Uh,
just want to make sure.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they are two different ones. Was that your intention? that
Yes.
He would, okay.
Yes,
All right.
exactly. Thanks.
okay. Next, we've got new business website.
Can I ask a question first?
Too late, already up to website. Go ahead.
Well, I was a little taken back by the price. It's 69,423.58. How is that split up?
Pity.
It's pity. It's right in the agreement.
And when we talked about this 8 months ago, it was $80,000.
Okay, well, that was, I'm old. I don't remember back that far.
Yeah, the price is just going up. Bam.
So actually the price of the sign has not changed, but some of the other things that were added onto it. So I did talk with Rum River, and they're going to work with us on that permit fee that was put in 1,500. That's a possibility of what it was, but Andy said that he would work with us on that, and we will not be paying sales tax. So
Okay.
we're down to the 67.9, down to.
Website,
Got you.
Andy. Would you help us get a Linwood Family Fun Day minutes?
In terms of, I think Natalie spoke last meeting and,
I know she's been trying.
oh,
Could you help with that?
it'd certainly help with that.
Okay,
Is that where is she gonna work then on the page as well? When we talked back in April? And then that was pushed aside, so I guess is that where we're,
she just needs help in getting the minutes,
okay.
not putting them on the website.
I understand that, but is she gonna help us with the Family Fun Day page? 'Cause remember we were trying last April and then that's where it got shut down and it had to have this
I don't know, you'll have,
process, so I can work with Natalie?
yes.
Okay,
The other thing is all the committees are on there, Andy, except yours.
yep.
Could you put this, give us the information for the safety committee, who's on it? When you meet, those kind of details like you would if it were planning and zoning or any other committee. So that's out there and everybody knows there's a safety committee and who's representing.
In terms of, there's no meeting, it's not a posted meeting. There's representatives from departments.
Okay, well, could you just give us that? And there's no particular, you don't meet every other month.
No, it's just check-ins and what we're doing.
Okay, could we just put it on the website anyway?
Like,
I mean, I don't have any idea who's on the safety committee.
yeah, I guess, yeah, for the representatives, for sure. That's what it's kind of an internal thing, but yeah. So
Do
is
you
that
do
it?
minutes?
No, we don't meet. That's why I guess I'm questioning it. So like,
You don't ever meet?
no, there's no,
Why do you call it a committee?
because it was written down that way at the beginning of the year. So I just call it what I call it.
I was gonna say, I think that was discussed in January.
Yeah.
We made it a committee. We called it a committee so that you can
But
have.
you have representatives from the office and the fire station and
Yep.
recycling.
Yeah, you still have Captain Tice. Yeah.
But you don't meet. So how do they get there? I'm confused.
Okay. So what do you want to have happen?
Well, I honestly thought it was a committee, so I thought that you had,
Well, it's a
members-
challenging, I mean, so the only way to make it work is for all of them to meet at one time because their work schedules are all conflicting.
I'm just asking because we don't have it on the website.
But
and nobody seems to know anything about it.
Yeah, whatever, if you want to meet on it, let's meet on it, and we can set it up on there.
Okay,
Just shoot me some dates and times.
Pam?
I guess I am curious about the safety committee because I've seen documents come by signed by the safety committee, and yet when I've talked with staff, none of them are involved in it, of documents that were being put out. So I was just curious. I'm curious. No one in the office has been named as a representative. No one in Public Works is a representative. I've just, how is this working? We've taken it on as staff to do safety things, to get some training, to do that kind of stuff. Is that the expectations that we just take it on? Is that, I guess I'm asking the whole board, what is a safety committee if no one in the departments is on it or been contacted? How does it function? As an employee, how
I
does
guess,
it
how does
function?
it function before then?
We've never had one.
We never had one.
You've never had a safety anything,
I guess my thoughts, where is it?
because
They
I,
have somebody from senior center, the office, maintenance, fire department, somebody from Paul's area would be all included in this, and this would be something where you meet and you discuss issues and things like that. I mean, that was my vision of it.
So
Yeah,
then
maybe
staff
right.
will put that together then.
Pardon?
Then staff would put that together.
Well, whoever's, if he's safety, then he can put it together, or staff can set up who's gonna put it out, and who's gonna be involved in it. I mean, you don't need 3 people from the office to be in it. You need 1 person from the office and 1 person from maintenance and 1 from in the back, and maybe Sarah and somebody from the fire department.
so. My question then is, are we on website or are we on safety?
I think we're on safety. I don't know how we got to safety, but we went from website to safety somehow.
well, we have to have a committee before we can put it on the website.
Okay. So
Okay, that's how we got there.
that's
Okay.
how we got there. So if you had a question, you can dial 651-661-7733. That's my phone number and everybody has it.
Weird, because I have emailed you these questions and I get no response, and you know my email. Talk. Seriously. And yes, I will be talking to you to see how this works, because these are my coworkers that are not being taken care of. There are no safety measures in place here. And we've been doing a darn good job of trying to pull this together on ourselves. When we see things wrong, we're dealing with it because there's no other involvement here. There's no safety. The board won't make a decision on clothing for our employees, safety clothing. No decision. Got to wait till till the handbook is done. So again, you can say, oh, just call me. You have staff here, for Pete's sakes. This is where we are. And yet there's not that communication there. It just doesn't exist. So to say, oh, this document was signed by the safety equipment, you gave us a bunch of OSHA rules. Oh, and again, direct. If that is on staff to take those rules that were called a policy, if that's our job, then tell us. It's totally on us and we'll do it. We'll do it, but we're going to be coming to the board to ask the question. My understanding at the beginning of the year is that a safety committee would be formed, headed up by Supervisor Ludke. Like I say, I've seen a couple documents signed by it. And when I talk to my coworkers, they haven't been any part of it. So again, if it's on us, tell us.
So kind of a question on point of order here is this topic was website. I thought we were going to talk about website. And all of a sudden in less than 1 minute.
Let's draw it back in.
I'm just
So we're done
saying.
with the topic because it's uncomfortable. That's
Oh, ma'am.
really unfortunate.
Clerk, you did this to us 2 months ago.
Did what?
You said we could not talk about a well, which set this whole project back.
No. At a special meeting that was advertised that way. This is a town board meeting and you are free to talk about any township related business. That was because it was a special meeting that was noticed for those topics.
And
This
that
is
was
a
done
town
without
board meeting.
communication as well.
What's that?
The posting of it, as we sit here right now,
The
if we're just gonna have a
posting.
are we free falling? Have we set that
Talk
aside?
about anything.
No, we
Okay,
can't.
that's fine.
We should have some decorum,
Just a minute,
some
stop.
professionalism.
Stop. Right now, I'm gonna finish up. Do you have anything else for the website?
No,
Okay, so there's nothing else for the website, so the website's done. We're gonna get to comment here in just a little bit, and everybody's gonna have their 2 bits to toss out there when I get down to everybody's comments. We're gonna finish this up. Delaware County Estates, we have a request for a letter of credit reduction. Came in from Hackson Anderson. For Section 8 of the development agreement for the above referenced project, the developer is requesting a reduction in the letter of credit. We recommend that the letter of credit be allowed to be reduced to $254,007. The letter of credit would provide security for the bituminous wear course and the warranty. A summary of the letter of credit amount is attached. If you have any questions, please call Hawkinson Craig Yocum. Is there a motion to approve the credit reduction?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any more discussion?
Is this, so Pam, is this, we're in good shape to be able to do this then?
Yes, yes. This is allowing enough money retainage for the 2-year warranty and the finishing, because it still needs the top coat, the wear coat on the road. So according to the, don't ask me, but according to the engineer, it is.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Minnesota PIP Group Health Renewal.
All right, that's me. It is time for the annual renewal for the Minnesota PEEP. Moving forward, a little bit of background here. They initially were going to be pulling the value plan, and that's normally what the township has always matched. But then they found that there was some union discrepancies. They couldn't pull it, and that they're offering it only for 2025. So we are still eligible for the value option, the high option, and the HSA option through 2025. But moving after 2025, it looks like we're only going to have the high option and the HSA option.
So do we have to make a motion to approve going with the value option again,
If that's the board's
or whatever we're gonna do?
discretion. And 2025 budget does have budgeted all the way up to cover the high option as well, so.
Okay, what's the board's pleasure? Can't sign this piece of paper unless the board's gonna make a motion to go with it or not go with it.
so.
From-
Make a motion that we go with $893.98.
Which one is that?
It's the high option.
The high option?
Hmm?
Got a motion on the floor, is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded, discussion.
So this is just for 1 year. And then they're gonna present the next. at this
Yep,
time
so
next
this
year.
is the time because I need time, well, I guess. I need time to get to the employees and let them know, hey, this is where we're at, this is where, this is what the board approved, because we need to be able to get this all in place for January 1st, so I need to have all their paperwork and stuff into, so. Yep, so moving forward, per the email, we did opt to have the value option available for us for 2025. So that's why that's on the back sheet of paper, the second separate sheet of paper, is because they did give it back to us in order to offer for 2025, but moving into 2026, they're telling us it's not going to be there, but anything can happen. So as for 2025, all three plans are still available.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I think I gotta sign this thing.
So we got rid of an insurance committee in January. We used to have one that was in, well, I don't know if it's a committee, but we call them committees.
Well, we didn't call it a committee. We called it a Mike. Mike did all the insurance stuff.
Oh, okay. So we did the committee assignments. That's why we had one as just identifying him as the insurance guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm
This
just,
year we didn't
He's an
have an
insurance guy.
insurance guy.
right. So these rates keep going up. And I know insurance is going crazy.
So from 2023 to 2024, it went down. Yes, so we are now they're making up for it at this. Yes,
So
so
drop now we're. shooting up
yes,
a little
yep.
bit.
So
Okay.
that's, I know that's
Okay.
the trend. It was really weird. We were all shocked to know that it did go down, but it was because of COVID. Not a lot of people were utilizing their insurance. They weren't going in. They weren't. So the rates did go down from 2023 to 2024 insurance, but then obviously they're making up for it now in 25. So that's,
That understanding helps. Thank you.
yes, yeah.
You were obviously thinking the same thing.
Yeah, because typically it was a 7%, 5 to 7, sometimes even an 8% hike. Because I went through all the way, I think I can go back to 2014 and I just kind of kept following it through. Well, we went down and now we got the ramifications of the two. So
Great, thank you.
Okay, they have an upcoming meeting. We have a government meeting Wednesday, October 30th at 6.
Chair, we added 16 agenda packet.
I'm on 15 if you look at the numbers.
No, we did.
15th is upcoming meeting, local government organizational meeting, Wednesday, October 30th at 6 p.m. And then if I go to 16, I've got agenda packet.
Thank you. Yeah, so this one wanted to add and discuss just for discussion in terms of, we streamline the streaming and being able to convey the public transparency is to get our packets out with consistency, or not out to the public, and then develop some consistency with them, because we've gotten, and I know it's different with who's doing them or what, but we've gotten them all as, what we have tonight as one big scroll, which I think tonight it showed that we're jumping around a lot, so it was a challenge with that squeaky mouse. And but to be able to get something clear and concise out for the public as well, for being able to follow the meetings and know. So in words of like I said, what that looks like, how do we get our packets? Because I was told we don't share our packets. And I don't know what or why that would be, but to be able to get those out for the public, to know what's on the agenda being discussed and having the content behind the line items, because if I would have known the website meant safety, I could have come more prepared. If we were jumping back and forth and understanding what was the context of some of the documents behind them. So just a discussion to figure out what's next with that. The board's pleasure.
So the meeting packet that the public can look through, is it exactly like what we have in ours?
Sure.
Right, so we don't redact anything out? Like addresses or names or nothing like that?
No, that's a public packet. What you have in front of you
Okay.
is a public packet.
And so is there a restriction on making that, like, let's say it was on the website so people could get to it ahead of the meeting? Is there? The only reason I'm asking is because I know that at one point a long time ago, we talked about being concerned about people's addresses and stuff being available if we put it on our website. And so I just want to make sure we're not, if we did something like that, that we're not doing something we shouldn't.
Well, it shouldn't. If it's
Public's
sitting right
public.
there,
That's what I'm
it makes
wondering,
no
yeah.
difference if it's sitting there or if we post it on the Monday before the meeting. Cause everything has to be in the pan by Thursday, the week before.
Correct.
So if somehow we could get it posted on the website on Monday, that gives them a day and a half to be able to look at it.
So now the next question comes in, because I'm also concerned about, you know, staff having to deal with the questions. We know that we changed our agenda, you know, coming up right to maybe sometimes a few hours before the meeting. So my other question would be is, are we going to have people then in the community look at a packet that was done a day ahead of time? And then see there's a difference in what came before the meeting and then
Our
say,
agenda says draft.
okay, okay.
Yeah, cause I can just say draft and that covers it.
Okay. Yeah, I did, like I said, I just didn't want staff to all of a sudden start getting a whole bunch of phone calls saying, hey, you changed this on purpose.
For sure.
Pam?
For sure, that's what you will have. Because again, sometimes things come in here an hour before the meeting. Some supervisor really wants it in front of the board. And I know maybe it shouldn't. Maybe that cutoff is a hard line, but how do you operate? Some of the information that came in on the generator, it wasn't available last Friday when I sent the stuff out. It just wasn't there. So if it's going to be a hard line and the board will not do it, but I think there needs to be some clarification because I think there's some confusion. A special meeting is posted specifically for specific topics and you can't go beyond that. The town board regular meetings, your twice a month meetings are at your discretion. The agenda, you wouldn't even need an agenda. Agendas for the town board are helpful in that it keeps you on track. What were all the things that everybody wanted to talk about? Let's make sure they're on there. So at the beginning, if you're adding things or you decide, no, I don't want to talk about it, you can take it off. It is at your discretion. Not so on a specially posted meeting. You have to stay with the topics that were posted. And so I just wanted to clear that up, that you do have that leeway. The meetings, your 2 town board meetings, the regular ones, are for you to statutorily conduct the business of the town. That's vague. That's vague. And I do also respect trying to get the information out to the public, an agenda, so they know if it's a topic they want to be here for, they have that authority or that opportunity to be here for it. Whatever the board decides on meeting packets, but just know that they can change. If the board wants to decide they will never change, let me know that.
Yeah. Or a hard date and time set closer to the Tuesday meeting. I mean, if it was everything's got to be to Pam by noon on Monday, if that actually gave you enough time to put it together, then, well, then, you
We
know,
wouldn't have had generator, or we wouldn't have had
Yeah, I get it.
Commissioner
Yeah,
Reinhardt today.
my intent of it wasn't to, nothing's gonna change. I mean, we understand that things are gonna change. That's the importance of trying to get, like you said, the business done. And I think the general public would be understanding of that with those caveats of what we're saying. It already is that way right now. Like you said, the agenda is printed as a draft,
It is, but I
so
want
it's
you
gonna
to
change.
I want you to know that there has been discussion within the community about how, how we have changed our agenda. Even though it says draft. I mean, people will make the worst out of it if they can.
I don't think that of my neighbors. I think.
Well, they
through
already have.
communication That we can make stuff
They have.
work. Again, that's,
You want to be called a liar? I don't.
no one's calling me a liar.
I don't think anybody's calling anybody a liar here. Okay, let's just get it.
Yeah,
I don't care what you do, somebody's not gonna be happy with what we do. If we're trying to get the information out there so that people can see it. If we put it on the webpage, we put it on our page, it says draft right across it. It means
Yes.
draft. If people want to accuse us of changing something, let them accuse us.
Okay.
they can come to the meeting and
They can come to the
understand,
meeting and
understand
stand
the
sit out there and
process.
say, look what you're not doing. You did this on purpose.
I hear you.
Already heard it.
But I don't care what anybody says. I mean,
Thank you very much.
we have things that we step in here just before this meeting and we change something right before it. all I ever hear is people want to be informed about what's coming up at the meetings. We're giving them the most information we can possibly get them. At the time when Pam would post it on there saying, here it is, that's the most up-to-date information at the time. Can it change? Yeah, it can. It could change by that afternoon. It could change by the next morning. It could change 10 minutes before this meeting started.
And we
But
can't
people
always
have-
change it on the
We
website.
don't, and we can't always change it, and they have to understand this. So once it's posted, it's posted. But no, if people can't understand that, then we have too many negative people out there that kind of run it down a straight line and they're looking for something for us doing wrong.
Why can't we change the website?
What if, Natalie's not available? Or what if Pam's not available, or, I mean, it just has to, you know, if it's 3 o'clock and she gets the generator stuff. And, you know, Natalie's not available, nobody's available, it can't change.
Like I say, if what we have, we post what we have on Monday, it's out there. And like I said, people have to understand sometimes things change. It's not like we change the agenda every meeting. This is something that happens once in a while. Yes, it will happen. I don't care what you do. You go to your job changes today but it wasn't planned on changing it yesterday, but it changed today. It's the same way this is. Yes, we're gonna get some grief from time to time, but we're providing information to the majority of people that want to see that information.
Yeah, so in part of my research of it, looking at other townships, I've subscribed to some of their websites and notices, and yeah, I get the agendas and packets emailed to me from some other townships. So in terms of that, the website being able to utilize some of the features that Civic Plus has, I think we can just focus on getting the information out there. Again, having some of it and then refining it what it looks like. And if it's a challenge because of this, okay, let's throw some heads at it and figure that out. But as it sits right now, just getting the actual, we had a scout up here sharing his project, talking about what he's talking about, and nobody can see that, unless they came and looked in the 3-ring binder. I mean, we had the packets of, I don't know who else, does staff get them as well? Or, because I know we get the board one that we get. Does that go, just separate email go to the staff that we're not on, or nobody
No,
else?
it's a town board packet. But if I can ask a question, you brought up a really good point. Is it possible, technology-wise, to have our meeting packet streamed during the
That's,
meeting?
if we can
As
get,
opposed to trying to get it out there ahead of time, where the public will disseminate that information before the board even gets to get together to have a discussion. Is, again, I don't know, we don't have a technology here, but is that a possibility?
Well, I
To-
think everybody wants to know. I don't know what's going on at the meeting tomorrow night. So, but to turn around and put it up there while it's happening, they're gonna say, I need it ahead of time so I can make plans to be there.
They should join the town
I
board.
see what you're saying, but that's what everybody says, well, I didn't know it was gonna be on the agenda, so I didn't go. Versus if it's up here, it's already happening, they can't get here. So I think if it's put out at least advance for what we have, people can make the decision if they need to be here or not.
I guess my question to that, if we're having a discussion, my question to that would be, I've never heard that from anybody. Now I get a lot of phone calls throughout the day. I've never heard that they wanted that. So I'm wondering, are you listening to this much of the population as opposed to the entire? Are you reacting to a few comments?
I've
Are
heard,
you reacting?
I've heard tons of comments.
Tons, okay.
I mean, I've heard tons of comments.
Okay.
And believe me, being that Ranger of mine, we drive all over and we talk to everybody. in the-
That was just my question.
But
This
yeah,
is a
but I'd say
widespread
there's
issue.
enough people out there that, like they said, they can't come to the meeting, but if something comes up, they need to, they would come. But they don't know what's gonna be on the agenda because they can't see it before the meeting. That's what I'm saying. If we post it on the webpage on Monday as a draft, that might be on there. People can make decisions at that time if they want to show up for the meeting or not.
Well, we get them on Friday, so why, I'm just wondering in terms of posting them.
I'm just trying to set up to at least it's the day before the meeting, so if there are any changes over the weekend or going into it, that she would have it at that time. If we happen,
Goes on Sunday.
if we happen to make a change or something comes up that Pam has to make a change to it.
I don't do the website.
Well, no, I'm not saying
Connection.
the minutes or the agenda. So if she has to make a change on the agenda, something comes over the weekend, so Monday morning she has to change the agenda for something. We post it on Monday. It's the newest thing we've got going into the next day for the meeting. So it pretty much the majority of stuff we have is gonna be on there then.
But now you just commented that it only gets posted on Sunday, or that's one of the days?
And sometimes she does it on Monday, but I don't know if you remember this, Mike. You and Natalie had a very long conversation about her not having to post every day. Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah, I told you she has to post every day. But if we set up a date that this is gonna be posted on Monday, that's not every day.
Okay, so you want to change her day that she posts,
Her day that she what?
that she does the posting. Usually she does it on Sunday night.
Okay.
Is
This
Sunday night good?
This isn't me. We're talking about that's between you and her. I'm just telling you what would probably work best for this township.
Okay,
So
all right.
you
There's
set,
no difference between Sunday night and Monday morning anyway.
you set the schedule. So I mean, I don't have nothing to do with that.
Oh, you had a lot to do with it.
I did back then, but we may say she doesn't have to post every day. And I'm not telling her she has to post every day.
Okay, all right. I'm just wanted to hear you say that.
That's fine.
So in my, in my 2 cent vision, it would be that it would be on there, the first draft for the weekend. And then whether it's, I don't know the changes. I know we did get the changes, but I would not expect it to be changed every time. But I guess more to staff, when you get your Monday changes or whatever, you're only changing it before this meeting, correct? Like this, so yeah, because this, like we said, we get the Friday and then we get the sit down. So it's not that it's not getting changed on Saturday, Sunday, Monday throughout, correct?
No,
Yeah.
I do it.
The day.
an hour before the point.
And it doesn't get changed on the website.
Correct. The web, as people go to the website right now, it is not this version.
So is it my understanding then you would like this all done and set in stone then on Mondays?
No,
No,
I really don't
No.
care.
No.
As long as it's posted out there, it can go out there Friday let's say Friday at the earliest, Monday at the latest.
okay, but can she? Okay, let's say it goes out. It's on the website. And then Mark Sullivan comes along and he's got some quotes. And that will not get out there.
Yep, you're right. That's why
Okay.
it says that this is a draft
Okay.
and drafts are subject to change.
Okay, as long as you, we were just trying to clarify.
Well,
No.
I'm trying to be.
and I think that would convey, and that's a perfect example, because in what we got on Friday, he was very clear in saying, I'm working on getting the remainders. They will not be in until right before the meeting. So if I was John Q. Public reading that, I'd go, great, they're hitting, at 80% here, and the rest is gonna come in. I would hope that my township is getting more quotes on $100,000. And they would have the understanding that when I tune in, I'm gonna hear all 3 presentations already with a ballpark that one of them's here. So I would not expect it to be an every 20-minute update. I would expect the first draft out there on Friday. So again, we're hitting a high percentage with the understanding that you could come in here Monday and this thing broke and we're gonna discuss it. Cause that's, like Pam said, that's what the meeting is. So throw it on the agenda and go.
I think it's worth trying.
Okay, so what day do you want this stuff to be on there? I like Monday, I don't care. It can be Friday, I don't care. It can be Sunday, I don't care.
All ours go out Friday, right?
I try. Sometimes it's Saturday.
Friday or Saturday, put it out. There you go.
And she
Well-
will put it on the website the first chance. After that, she updates.
Put it out.
All right, there we go. Good
Yeah.
enough?
Can you spend that much time on our roads talking to people and that many people bring this up?
You won't believe how many people I
I
stop and
don't
talk to.
believe a word you're saying because I've never heard anybody talk about it. And I talk to people all the time and I don't even have a cool Ford or
Ranger,
Polaris Ranger.
why do you think people want to stop and talk to me?
That's right. I don't have Polaris.
That's right.
I have an Arctic Cat.
That's your fault. All right. Now, are we done with that?
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
okay. Comments, reports, treasurer.
Can I,
Listen,
can I back
Oh.
up just a second?
John,
Can I just, I guess I could probably take it offline. I was wondering too, like on the agenda. Would it make sense to put like a parenthesis in the initials of who brought the topic and put it on here? Cause like I sent the 3 in. And so if Pam put the reuse building and a parenthesis put JO, you're gonna know who it is that's presenting and speaking to it. And then if you had questions about the topic, you know, or anybody had questions, you'd say, oh, well, that's JO, that's John, and you could contact me, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Obviously not more than 2. Not more than 2 supervisors. It was just a question. I don't know, maybe it doesn't work.
I think so, yeah, so you'd have, because right now it's just request to waive solar screening. And we had the letter, we had the stuff, but you know, item sponsor would be Susan from the zoning aspect. So you know, coming into it, which she had a report in there, but it, again, that one, but when you look at just the, you know, because oftentimes we do just have the one word ones or what they might be, it'd be from nothing else, the people in the town then would know. If they have a question, they can call that person.
Yeah,
I
just thought.
I like it.
But 3 supervisors can't call.
No.
Right.
no, it still has to be open meeting law.
But at least we know who's presenting.
You can always contact the clerk. I don't know.
My concern, Supervisor Olson, would be is if we, I'll do whatever I'm directed to do, but if you put that on there, let's say Carol puts it on and you call and Andy has a question and Bob has a question. Now, obviously she can tell you right then and there, but the office is a wealth of information if you cared to ask. I mean, I know somebody's making up things that, we're hiding things. Absolutely not, but you have to ask. So it's okay to call and ask me who put it on or, you know, what are they going to talk about? Sometimes I don't know. I got an email, said, just
Yeah.
put this on there. I don't actually know what it's about. So
Yeah,
I would just caution away from too many side conversations.
Yeah, I just, to call before each board meeting to say who put everyone on there. Because there's been a couple times that a topic's put on there and then when it comes to it, then it's like, John, what do you have to say about it? And then I'm caught flat-footed. And it doesn't happen very often. It's been a long time. Sunrise Watershed, I know, is one example. There was something on there. I didn't know I was presenting on whatever that particular topic was. So it would even help me, even though I wasn't the one that put it on there, I was expected to speak on it. And it might help from that standpoint. It helps the chairman too, know who to look to and say, Andy, this is your topic. But again, it's just a thought. I can deal with it either way. It makes no difference, but I just thought that might be a value add.
Yeah.
So again, maybe I've been here too long, but typically the first meetings of the month, there's certain committees that we just plain put on there. And the second meeting of the month, typically. So what went out on the website actually had parks on it because typically the parks meets right before the town board meeting. Then I looked at the calendar today and went, oh my gosh, they don't meet until next week. So it was removed. Nobody had asked me to put that committee on there. Sunrise Watershed, typically I will put it on there because the board has asked for a report of what happened at that meeting. do I continue with that? If it's typically those committees have met, like Road and Bridge, they would typically be on there. In the summertime, Linwood Family Fund Day typically would be on our first agenda. But it's also, it would be good too, if the supervisor has nothing to report, just let me know and I can pull that off there too. So again, if this is going to be evolving, I need your help with it. If there's things you don't want on there, and that, again, when they go out, it is a request that if there are any changes to let us know. So that, again, if staff has been being caught flat-footed when questions are being asked that could be asked prior to it. And I think we all come to the meeting better prepared if we know what's coming, whether it's putting more words on the agenda to describe something better, whether it's not supposing that a committee is going to want to report. Again, I think we can do this well, but
Sure.
need to hear. And again, it would never be the intention of staff to blindside 100%. Our job is to get you all the information you can. So,
And the one particular instance that I was talking about was when we were dealing with the contract negotiation stuff for Sunrise Watershed. And both you and I were working on it together. So when the topic came up, I didn't know if you were speaking to it or if I was speaking to it. That is one example of when that happened. So it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't happen often, but it would have allowed me to know that I was gonna be presenting something I could prepare for it. So that's where that came from.
I'm good with the way it is right now,
Oh, my.
personally.
Got a question? You all get the packets Friday. Got a
Give
question?
him a call.
Email,
Ask.
call, and I don't even like email.
You good with the way it is, or what do you want to do?
Good with the way it is.
All right. All right, we're going into reports. Alyssa. Your turn.
Well, still fighting with my scanner. I got two giant demo models. The first one didn't work. The motherboard was fried out. They sent out a technician. He sat here for half the day, sent it back. Aired me another one, got it in. There's a memory issue. Maybe it's potential with the demo. I lost patience, sent it back, and I'm now working with OPG3, which is Laserfiche there, to kind of find us a model that's like our old one, but our old one's discontinued. But not like the mammoth thing they sent us that could double for a mini washer machine. Like it's huge. So I'm working with them. So hopefully you guys will have better quality scans coming in the future. But we did receive our quarter 3, 2024 fines and fees payments. That's the payments that have been coming through for when people get tickets throughout the county and then they pay them. For quarter 3, 2024, we got $26.66.
We would have enough for 2 Happy Meal.
So, and then we did receive the energy credit rebate for the boiler in the back for $525. So that was dispersed between the parks and the recycling. So other than that, it's been elections. So
Thank you. Pam?
Yeah, full election mode. A few meetings ago, Supervisor Milliburn had asked me if we were going to be hiring extra election judges to help out staff with it. And I said I wanted to see how it went. Well, we're over 300 voters so far, and we're not next week. And the weekends are going to be very busy. So I guess I am requesting the board that I have the leeway to hire some of our already trained election judges and possibly even increase my deputy clerk, Pam Matty, now works 20 hours a week if she's available to help out. As you can see, we've moved voting into the boardroom because there was not enough privacy in the hallway and it was very disruptive for the voters and for other people that were here. So currently what we're doing is we're taking turns coming in here and one and sometimes two of us are in here at a time. If I bring in some election judges, there would still be one staff person in here because we are the ones that are trained to work in the state registration system. And then one or two other election judges would come in and help with directing traffic and seeing that the people are getting the right ballots and that they don't walk out with ballots and that type of thing. So I guess I'm just asking the board permission to do that. Election judge wages are $11 on election day. I don't know if that's fair wages to, that's up to you if that's fair to ask them to come in. Like I said, mainly it will be that last week. And then also some weekends we're open. The next 2 Saturdays, we need to be open for 6 hours, and on a Sunday, we're open for 6 hours, and you can't have one judge with voted ballots here, so at least at the end of the day, again, some leeway to be able to determine when I need to double staff and when not.
Good thing is,
That's what I
you're
miss.
the only one in this room, the two of you are the only ones in this room who know when you need it and when you don't. So I think it only makes sense to give you the power to do that. And an $11 election judge is a lot cheaper than overtime for any one of our staff, so.
Is, because there's hours too next, aren't they the late hours too? And during the week, is there, so I guess is that then the provisions then for overtime as well, or are you guys staggering shifts for the one staff coverage, or how was that?
For all over the board, but I did make sure that I asked my supervisor's permission when
Yeah.
with elections. I mean, we gotta have a staff person here Saturdays, later on Tuesdays, Sundays. I mean, so we have it worked out to what office staff is doing what shifts, but then we also, like Pam said, at the end of the day, need another judge here. I mean, we need closures, you know, in that.
Hope I get all that. I'm just, in terms of the budget, then it's all,
I think they have to have some overtime or some flexibility because some of their job can wait. But some of them, it can't wait, so they need to do some of their job while they're here too.
Still a business.
Yes, so they're gonna have some overtime. And then they're gonna bring in some judges and that'll help.
Pam, how many judges you need to bring in? Got a guess? Just a guess.
I would like to see, for that last week and some of the weekends, 1 a day. I know the Saturday before in 2020, I called in 5. So again, that last week, but at a bare minimum would be 1, preferably 2 to 3. When it's busy, and again, some of that would be on call. That Saturday was on call and I called in whoever I could.
For anyone who's been on the board the longest, we've never had this. This is absurd.
Well, it's
It isn't
'cause
election day anymore. It's election
Month.
quarter of the year.
Month.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. And I've been here in the afternoons. And the one thing that is different from election day is people have 52,000 questions. And if you don't have knowledgeable people to answer the question, now they got 60,000 questions. It's unbelievable what they go through.
So, let's see, how do I? form
I'll
this
make a
into
motion. That we allow Pam to use her discretion,
That's what I was looking for.
on bringing people in between now and election day,
Election judges.
election judges.
I'll second that. Discussion.
now, so the way you said, we got some, do you have some that are trained that didn't come back for any of this and would be here election day? That's who you'd be pulling, or would you be looking for new people? I mean, we wouldn't be able to approve anybody before that.
Already had a resolution.
Yeah.
approving you.
More discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next.
Thank you.
well, she's right.
Thank you.
Oh.
I just wanted to comment on the, I did put this funky map in, the county administrator sent it to me. And I just want to note of the areas that they're looking at adding broadband are 3 of the various areas are actually ones that we have documented of people that have called and said, can the board help us out with broadband? I think it might have been around the county commissioner spot in your, up by fire department or, but it just shows the households that they would be putting it in. The other thing I learned from the county commissioner, again, more to come, but or not county commissioner, but the, Dickinson, is that, it would be a joint thing. Columbus already has their own funding for internet money for them. This would be a joint agreement between East Bethel, Bethel, and Linwood, and to bring in to the areas you see on your map there. At this point, they're looking at East Bethel has offered to, I don't know the exact word, but the money would actually go to, they would have the contract with Midco to do the service in the 3 communities. And they asked if Linwood would be opposed to that. I spoke for the board and said, no, we're good. If East Bethel will spearhead that and be the person on the contract. Again, it's a matter of staff time, and I don't know. I don't know if they would, as long as East Bethel has already stepped up and said that they would spearhead it, it seemed to me reasonable. He was just looking at, how do I keep going? This is another one where the money needs to be committed. Midco had already applied for doing this project and were turned down for a grant. So the legwork has already been done by Midco. That's why they think that they can get this all in place by the end of this year. So the contracts have to be in place to do this work. The work would be completed. Midco has assured the county that the work would be done by the end of 2026. So it's really a bonus for some of our residents in areas that are they just are unserved or underserved by internet. And then so with the new streaming policy, I will go ahead and start working. It was a 3-month process to change our records retention schedule. I will get that process started again because it's a change and that's what the process is. So I will get that in the works to get that moving. And then to be clear on some of the other things, I'm sorry, I am 100% elections. There was something else here. I just want to be clear if staff was supposed to move forward with it or if someone else. So I'm going to assume like with the electric, with the light pole, that's you, Supervisor Ledke. You'll be contacting them to let them know that they were awarded that.
Yep.
The office does not work with that at all.
Because he's coming out to do the quote for the well.
So do I send the signed agreement or is that on you to send signed agreements? I just want to be really clear that nothing gets holding this project up.
What?
Typically, the office would send the signed agreements. I just want to be clear if that's still our role or if that is no longer the role.
So the water softener, you would contact Kramer and you would contact the other one, say you didn't get it, Kramer did.
In the past, that has been our responsibility, but I don't, again,
I'm fine with you doing that. That's just fine.
again, the fire department generator, that is on the people that are spearheading that. I just want to be really, really clear that we don't drop the ball somewhere here with a misunderstanding.
What signed agreement did electrical have?
You have to sign the quote.
Just like you send the quote, get the. I think I did send the quote.
Is that a process?
No,
I'm not saying it's, I'm asking because it didn't have, I don't remember a signature line. Do you have it? I don't remember a signature line ever being on Kaylee's stuff because even when you added the other outlets, you guys just did that verbally.
It's under a dollar amount. Normally we.
Yeah.
Send them over just so they know that we are, the board has approved.
And I could be mistaken. But
Yeah,
if you don't,
if
he didn't sign anything, then,
I didn't sign anything.
It's a phone
There's
call.
nothing
Yeah, I
in the
didn't, there was
Okay.
nothing on, that's why I was thrown for a
Nothing in
loop,
the
because I
packet.
don't remember.
okay.
And
All right.
so under dollar amount of what dollar amount?
Any signed agreement usually goes through the office.
I would agree. I would hope so.
Okay.
Otherwise, how
Okay.
do you do retention?
Yeah.
You know, records retentions.
Nope, I was just thrown for a loop because this wasn't an
Yep.
agreement. It was just a
Maybe it
contractor.
was that one. I don't know. You signed a lot of things tonight.
You're telling me?
Okay. That's all I got.
Okay, Carol?
Well, I'm going back to the safety committee. I still would like, Andy, if you would give me the names of the people on the committee for the website, so we can put safety committee on the website. And so everybody knows that there is a safety committee for one thing.
Okay, so pretty much easy and we need to get a list of names, who's on the committee, who from, the front office is gonna be on it. It'll have to be Paul from the back, cause he's the lone stranger. Be Sarah from the senior center, it'll be Jack from maintenance. If anybody else from the fire department, somebody over there can be on the safety committee and there'll be your safety committee. So you can pick who you guys wanna be from the office. And then it's gonna be Paul, Sarah, Jack, and if somebody from the fire department wants to be on it, then you can put a list together and get her a list and she'll have that put down that here's your safety committee.
Okay. And I just need, I can get whatever, I can get their email addresses or whatever from,
They can send that with you.
right, but I can get them too, so,
All right. Okay, anything else?
nope.
Andy?
Recycling center scouts are going to be doing their recycle program assist on Saturday the 2nd. They've typically done some of this, they're doing a lot of, they're just gonna be on site. They've got insurance and everything covered through the scouts. Paul's just he's got a work plan and everything set aside for where they're going to be operating. So it's just, they're gonna be on site instead of off site as they've been in the past. So it's an opportunity to people to come and help support them as they learn taking things apart. So. I think that's it.
Up, building anything in Delwood Estates yet?
Yes.
Okay. John, we know that we don't touch them roads, right?
Oh,
Good,
yep.
cause I worry
So,
about that every day. Do we have where are we sitting with our maintenance position, Irene? Where are we at with that?
The
Is it still
Public
on the
Works?
web? Yeah. You got 2 applications? Good.
No, 10.
10.
2 will be interviewed.
Good, awesome.
You've interviewed too?
No, I've broke it down to 2.
Good.
Okay, do you still want it on the website?
I would say to leave it up for right now.
Good, awesome.
Cause if there's other people that do see it that are interested, you know, I wouldn't turn down those resumes.
We talked about pay schedule for that or pay. Change it.
The job description that went out to the board at one point, I think it ranged from 16 to 26 or 18 to 26. Do you remember offhand? I think it was 18 to 26, I think is what it was. It was a range that's in there.
Concerned about that at all?
Well,
Well, if you got
Yeah,
10 applicants, that's pretty good with 10 applicants, but. When was the last time that was changed? The only thing I'm trying to stop is I'm trying to stop what's happened 25 times in this township. And I know nobody wants to spend more money, but it's always been a big thing. You get quality employees, you pay for them.
mhm.
Do we change that? Do we change that pay scale?
Probably something that we should be talking about when we do either our wage review or, you know, maybe when we do the performance reviews, but that definitely should be a conversation. I mean, all the deputies got a flat $5 an hour raise in Anoka County and they did the same thing similar in Chisago. And it's like, cause they know that they have to do that to retain quality people. So, but yeah, that should be a whole nother discussion.
Anything else, sir? John?
So street sweeping, we were trying to do 4 street sweepings a year. We couldn't do the first one, because of weather, so we went right into the second one. That one came in, we ended up being invoiced roughly twice the amount that we paid for 4 street sweepings last year. That was for one, so put us way behind budget. So what I did was I talked to the contractor and I said, if we're gonna pay some huge amount of money in the next 2, we'll probably have to revisit this. So he gave me a ballpark figure of between $2,400 and $3,000 per sweeping for the last 2. We're already way over budget. I think with the amount of twigs and stuff that were knocked down off the trees and these blow throughs, and all the leaves that are blowing around right now, I think that it's best served for the township that we don't do the third street sweeping. So I've already told them to skip that. And as soon as the leaves are on the ground, then the board can decide if we want to do that 4th one. But in talking to staff, we've got that grant, but I think it's like $1,200 a year that we get. So we get like $300 grant money per street sweeping. So if we got to spend $3,000, we get $300 back. It's like, I think we just have to make decisions that make the best sense for the township, not necessarily to satisfy a grant so we get $300 back.
So it's not just satisfying this grant. This is an agreement that we have. Why are we doing the street sweepings around them lakes?
For phosphorus.
Okay, to improve. We signed into an agreement with them. Just because we went over budget because we potentially maybe hired the wrong person doesn't subject us to, we don't want to do these street sweepings because we went over budget. We're still in contract with them. So I understand we're over budget, but maybe reread through that contract, because if it's something that we're bouncing back and forth of, oh, well, we're over budget, we can't fulfill our contract.
Well, if you sign the contract, we'd be default.
Right, and it's weather dependent. It's not budget dependent.
So which contract? The one with the contractor that's doing the street sweeping, or the contract for the grant?
The contract for the grant. Yes,
Okay.
because these enhanced street sweepings were put in place for a reason, for them in order to do these studies to say, hey, well, we're offering you, a little bit of money here to help clean up our waterways, just the runoffs. And that's the main thing. That's why it's certain roads, certain times of the year that have to be done. So that is our contract with
ACD.
Anoka County, yeah. Water Conservation District.
So Pam, you and I had a conversation. So are we locked in then to doing these? Because I guess I walked away from our conversation with a different thought in mind. I thought that it was, if we didn't do the street sweeping, we just didn't get that portion of the grant back.
I would have to look back at the agreement. So it was a 3-year grant. And the first year, we weren't able to do the first one because there was too much snow on the road. So they said that, well, that's fine, but make sure you do the 2 in the fall. This year, again, we weren't able to. I'm sorry, I would have to go back and look at the contract and see what it was, but I think this is grant money that Anoka Conservation District got from somebody to be able to then bring it forward and do it. So,
so then, I
it
guess
isn't
we're
just
gonna have to-
losing the money, it's also losing that.
Breaking a contract or breaking an agreement, right?
So then, maybe it's best if I get with you, we'll look at the contract, see what it is. If we need to talk to Anoka, we will.
I think that would be the best bet, is give Jamie a call and just say, hey, here's what we're running into. How do you want us to proceed? I think that would be your best bet, because I can look at it, you and I can look at it and read words, and I don't know what their reaction will be. So I think that would probably be most beneficial, is say, this is where we're at.
Okay.
How do we proceed? Because we may lose it for the 3rd year. If we don't honor it in the 2nd year, we may lose the money. It's not like the money carries over into the next year and we would get it. The agreement was so much per sweeping. So I would be more comfortable
Okay,
if you could talk to Jamie and just
I'll do that and I'll bring this back at the next meeting.
double check on that. Yeah.
Yep. Yep, I'll give an update at the next meeting. All right, thank you. Maintenance received a phone call, and I have not had a chance to give this person a call back. They were saying that, and I've heard this before, that there is a building light issue with one of our buildings providing so much light at night that there's light pollution. Anybody familiar with somebody that's adjacent to one of our buildings? You're too far away.
No, I don't know, but I've heard this many times before.
Okay, so it's been an existing issue.
It was an existing issue and the people moved and then it must be
Okay.
a ongoing issue.
So my question is did anybody else work with the one from a
Which
year or two
building?
ago?
Fire department.
Yeah, that's the,
So it isn't you then?
okay. So did you work on that issue last time then? I just need to know who to get with, because I want to get some background before I call this person. So
Yes, thank you. There were the lights in front of the building. They were pointed towards the street. They were pointed down and it, to my knowledge, it solved that problem. So
okay,
I don't think it's the fire department, but if it is, let us know. There's really nothing we can do about that.
right.
So
Okay, thank you. All right, so I will call that person. Seal Tech, I think they finally completed. They might be still working on doing some of the crack filling, but they were tooling up the roads pretty fast there this week. And if you didn't notice, I just wanted to mention, they actually came in well underneath their quoted amount. So they did pretty good. They also, and I gotta check, we picked a road, that they were gonna do, this, no, I can't remember what the name of it is. There's Polyflex, there's crack filling, there's Polyflex, and then there's a Mastec, thank you. And so they were gonna do part of a road Mastec and the rest of it Polyflex, so that we could actually go out there and see what it looks like, how it holds up, to decide if that's something that the township would rather move forward with in the future. It's a little bit more expensive, but it fills in better and it's supposed to last a lot longer. So we've got kind of a pilot road. Once they're completed, I'll get back with Todd and do kind of our follow-up on the roads. And then I'll bring back what that street is, and then we can kind of watch that.
Is that an extra charge that they're doing that for?
They did that for free. Yep. They did. I shouldn't say for free. They did it for the same cost as Polyflex. So we didn't pay any more for it. And that way we can just see the difference.
Said flashback of too much gravel going on a road because somebody thought we should put more gravel on it. There wasn't an amendment to the contract. That's the reason.
Yeah. Oh, this was good. Sure.
As long as you're on that topic, whatever happened with Lion Street, a joint road with Stacy? Is that getting crack sealed?
We're not doing that with them.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that was, because that one came back at like 12,000 some odd dollars just to do Lions. And that would have taken multiple streets off from our list for this year. We'd have ended up sticking 1/3 of our cost into one road. So no, we held off on that one.
thank you.
Yep. Let's see. So on the agenda that we talked about, just to finish out what you were saying is, and maybe this goes back to even more definition, but on the agenda when it just said website, if there's a way of getting clarity, and I don't know how that is, and it isn't for discussion, but just on clarity of what a topic might be about, because that one word, that could have been anything. And like Supervisor Ludke said, he had no idea that it was going to morph into safety. So just a comment. Mike said save your comments for that till the end, so that's just my comment. Elections, I want to thank staff, because with the legislation changes and the amount of hours that you guys got to cover this year, unique to any other year, even the last one 2 years ago, I know you guys were working a lot of hours to cover those extra timeframes. This is even worse. And it's like, you know, from me, I appreciate all that you guys are doing for that. That's a huge thing for our citizens and for the township. So thank you. And the last one is, and maybe I need to make a motion on this. Do I need to make a motion for $12 mouse for Mike? Cause this thing is driving me nuts. Okay, cause this
I'll
is
take it home
crazy.
with me.
I don't know
I'm
if,
bringing it back.
I don't know if the audience can hear, but that thing squeaks nonstop. So that's all I've got. I know it's a long one. Thank you.
Since I have nothing, is there anything else to come before this board? Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, we are adjourned.